let's see what you think. He said, what the Lord showed me in tribulation. Okay, these are his words. Let's take a listen once again.
I saw the government from all over the world start to use drones all over the place to look out for anybody that did not have the mark of the beast. The chip that was in your forehead or your hand communicated to the drones. There was drones, and you could hear the drones. There were literally like swarms of bees, and you know it even talks about it in the Bible that it looked like locusts coming up out of a pit. Remember? I believe what he was seeing, John on the Isle of Patmos, I believe was probably these drones. Just my opinion. There was literally, the sky is buzzing about all over the place with thousands of drones. They're all at a certain level, not real high altitude. They're all at a certain level, all above, just buzzing around at certain parts of the day, looking for people who do not have the mark of the beast.
But I didn't know much about his predictions. I only knew the portion that I've referred to. But you're right about that. I think that second prediction here is extremely problematic. So the idea that the drones are out looking for people who either have or have not the mark of the beast is ridiculous. So I'm so glad the Bible doesn't say that one. So at least I've allowed him to speak. Somebody laughed so hard. Zachary just laughed. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know if he claims to be a prophet, but I can tell you. And again, he said this was my opinion. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. This was my opinion. So he wasn't sure about that one so much. So for that reason, I will extend a degree of grace because he did not say, he said at the start, the Lord showed me. But oftentimes, a lot of Christians say the Lord told me, and the Lord told me this, and the Lord told me that. And it's not always true that the Lord had said anything, So he says, her prophets have dotted them with untempered mother, saying vanity and divining lies unto them, saying, thus saith the Lord, when the Lord has not spoken. I love it. God said this, God said that. Sometime God hasn't said anything. He hasn't said a thing to you. This is your prediction, you adding the news, do it here and there. And it's not wrong to do that. I do it. I sit there and look at the news and look at the facts, and I come up with an opinion. I look at where things are headed and read my Bible and see if I can better make sense of what is happening. But I don't make it a prophetic call. So no man is infallible. All right, let's stay away from the claim of infallibility. Now, the next video is a little bit different. I will say this man, all right, so, just so you know the background, some of the things that this man does, and it's a thing on the internet, there's this system. It picks up words, it puts things together and numbers together on the internet. It gathers information, right? And then he makes a certain prediction based on what the discussions are. Sometime way off target, sometime very, very close. This man had this video 2 months ago. This was uploaded in the month of October. And in his supposed analysis and based on the way he's looked at things, he has this military style. I would say more like a Star Wars type of way of talking about things, dialectic and stuff like that. He said some number. Anyway, when you hear, you will see what I mean. But he did say sometimes after Trump's had an interview with Joe Rogan, there will be these drones in the sky, which will lead to what he calls a milli. I had to know what a milli is. I had to look it up because I had no idea what this man was talking about. But when I looked it up, and I'll tell you what melee. So a melee, according to him, is a confused fight, skirmish, or scuffle. Several people were hurt in the melee. So, but the thing about a melee, it includes extraterrestrial involvement as well. It is in this context that he's speaking about it. So it's not just a civil or a war or something that's happening from a community standpoint, but it's happening beyond other nations. It's involving other people. Anyway, so that's the idea behind that. So he made this prediction 2 months ago before Trump had the interview on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I think that was somewhere in October 25th, if I'm not mistaken, the Joe Rogan podcast. I think this video was uploaded October 20th. Which is very interesting. And also listen to what the prediction is. And let's try to work with that.
Within the data in 2009 that had been reinforced over the years from 2009 through to 2015 that said that 39 days after this TM took place, we would have and this is where Igor and I did our fighting, we would have this visible contention that would dissolve into a melee. And at the time, and even in our even in our conversations here recently, he wanted to say, and I'll title this way in honor of Igor here, but he wanted to say that it was 39 days to melee, which is a catchy phrase. Okay, it'd be a nice title for a book or something. But in my opinion, it's not quite accurate, right? Because we don't know what the distance is between the organized visible contention that then degrades into the melee. That might be months for all we know. But what we do have some justification for suggesting is that there will be 39 days between the temporal marker of the Trump interview and the appearance of this visible contention. And we're not talking, people taking on migrant gangs that are taking over apartment buildings. That kind of visible contention may well be in there, but the stuff that had been motivating me to get hold of Dick Allgaier was the visible contention between space aliens. Okay, so, or whatever, right? Alien reproduction vehicles or whatever the hell. Who knows what's going on? Because we can't validate any of it at this point, right? But the data set said that 39 days after this temporal marker, giant, huge, iconic temporal marker, to be honest, I never thought I would live to actually see it occur. Anyway, though, it was pleasing to have lived at least that long that I saw the linguistics about that temporal marker appear in the media. Now we've got that same set of linguistics again, and apparently we have confirmation that the interview will take place, and therefore we'll have it as a temporal marker itself. And so that sets going a sort of a timer. Bear in mind what I was telling you about how we get these times, right? It's a software adding up all of this based on all these words, and we're constantly wrong to some great degree. And it varies based on the size of the set, the amount of processing it takes, and yada, yada, yada. So it's not like any kind of guaranteed date or anything, right? It is just I am alluding to the possibility that there's a short period of time between barely over a month between the temporal marker and the visible contention that will appear in the skies that from the descriptors we had back in 2009 will go to the idea of UFO versus UFO and UFO versus jets. Okay, so like sort of very complex kind of Independence Day kind of, right? Nobody will know who the hell is doing what with whom. Now, okay, so you think that's unlikely and so on, as do I. It's always unlikely until it happens. Possible, not probable, right?
Or learning a few things here. We're talking about these matters. We are not in any way saying we have it all figured out. All I'm simply saying is these are some of the talking points. This is what's happening. And I felt the need to address this. And if you have not, I would highly recommend, if you have not already watched my video entitled The Devil's Final Move, you need to do that. ASAP, somebody. Why? Because I was able to put a lot of this in perspective. So you want to go to Advent Media Connect. So you go to Advent Media Connect. You want to go to, it's part of my sermon list. There it is right there. It's doing okay. It's got 4,600 views at this time. I will say when we're done with this live stream, go watch The Devil's Final Move, Unmasking the UFO's Mysterious Connection. So you want to check it out. Is it unlikely? Possible, not probable? I mean, these are the words. What is your perspective on this? Do you think this man is far? Is he missing something, or at least is he up to something? At least in the way that he came somewhat close to this. Whether or not his words were melee, whether or not melee is gonna be a thing, which is war, which is confusion. All right, this is conflict. All right, it's commotion. That's what melee is. So we don't know. We don't know. I believe the clock is in God's hands, not in man's hands. But I wouldn't put it past him. It seems like there are some people in this world who love bloodshed. It really feels that way, and
Get me fired.
they will go as far as they can to shed blood. So, and I want you to read with me what was said. By the way, the post that I'm going to share with you is heavily censored. Heavily censored. So I'm not even supposed to be reading it according to, the powers that be. So this is the post. It was posted on, it calls it the next red flag. There it is. I'm not sure how well you can see this. I wear glasses, so this is terrible for me. But anyway, so this is May 23rd, 2022. Can you see this? Yeah, I like redacted. I think they're okay. Nobody's perfect, but we can learn from each other. But the thing is, now I want to see if I can read part of that. The next red flag, it says here, and again, this post was taken down, is being censored. I don't know why. But anyway, it is what it says. So let's see if I can get through this. The next red flag will be centered on the premise of malicious interdiction of nuclear source materials. It will not involve a nuclear device of nuclear denotation, but rather a radiological threat. Nuclear source material will be deliberately leaked to target areas to inflict severe injuries through radiation exposure. The real number of casualties as a result of this attack will remain very low. The purpose is to create. And I thought about that because you remember recently when there was, what was that train that ran off the rail and leaked some type of radiation stuff? I forgot where. Where did that happen? Wasn't German something? Anyway, I forgot which town. If you guys could recall, let me know. It was just about 6 months ago. And the Biden administration really didn't look into it so much. Peter Buttigieg, his name is, they didn't really take much concern when it comes to that. Anyway, it was a very interesting event. And I'm wondering how much of a relationship there is to that. And what they're also saying is in New Jersey, there has been some of these radiation exposure things that has been let loose. So the purpose of these drones is to find them. So people are saying, is this some kind of Are we being exposed to some things here? Thank you. You don't want too much candy. All right. Anyway, so let's keep reading a little bit. A new method of restriction freedom of movement, right? So there is another restriction of freedom of movement again, and new policies will enable the government to continue his expansion of power. The media will display image of attack survivors and will have burns and lesions across their skin. Videos depicted overwhelming triage centered with victims vomiting and otherwise unresponsive will be shared on social media. The threat of radiation exposure, an invisible enemy, will be used as the primary vector. Oh boy. Wow. That's a mouthful. All right, let's see what else we can get through here. An application modeled of Pestilence 19 contact tracing will be installed on every mobile device that use iOS or Android. This application will be served to notify the user about the potential hazardous exposure and recommend action that they should take, which will include voluntary exposure testing. Additionally, secular carriers will roll out automatic SMS alert that will have similar functionality. This application will interface directly with the UICC on mobile devices. If the users does not have this application installed, network connectivity will be prohibited. New policy will grant governmental agencies further access to metadata and geolocation data on every platform. Included in these policies will be a backdoor of legislation that bans the use of end-to-end encryption. This legislation will be identical in nature to the recently introduced, there goes the act, there goes the law right there, S3538, Earned It Act. Wow, this is I don't know what to make of this. I'm just reading it. I'm not telling you whether you should believe it or not. I'm simply saying these are the thoughts. I put the thoughts out there. If it's factual, it will be proven by time. If it's not, it will just fade away. All I'm simply saying is this was posted, it was censored, it was taken down, it was repressed. I was able to get a hold of it, and I'm simply reading these things, and I'm letting you know this is what was said. These attacks will be localized to a specific region. Triage centers will be set up in the affected areas, and through the deployment of National Guard coordinating members such as FEMA. These triage centers will see moderate traffic. The narrative will continue longer than any possible threat, despite offering no protection or even relevancy against the radiological threat. You will see another wave of people wearing cotton surgical masks. Oh wow! Listen to that. And targets around, targets areas, but the entire United States. They will be served this. So I'm having a hard time with this because the blurriness is killing me. There will be severe disruptions to the internet through the use of addition rather than negation. Alternative sources of information will become overwhelmed with the content generated by convolutional natural networks that support the narrative or uses a careful crafted opposition. Platforms that are incompatible with this system will be suppressed entirely on the infractured level. Wow. There will be organic service disruption as a result of excess traffic. Videos will surface showing these triage centers empty with the personnel staffing them idle. Okay. This will threaten the narrative. The control of information is required for the campaign to be successful. The perpetrators will not be an Islamic affiliated group of evil. There it is right there. Domestic terrorists. It will have no relevancy to the ongoing Ukraine conflict, but the blame will fall on all these groups. Wow. So if we are hearing, hey, blame the Iranian nations, blame Islam, blame these type of nations, it might be true that the words written here have come to pass. Now, the fog of war will surround information relating to the origin, and this will be intentional. Okay. International. Sorry. The real attacks will be psychological. Fear will be exploited, just like with the manufacturer's response of the pestilence. Oh boy. I just want to ask you guys a question. How do you feel about this post? And again, this was posted 2022, taken down, flagged, considered fake news, and called conspiracy theory. I don't really have a thought so much on what it is and what it's not. All I'm simply saying is that's one of the thinking that's out there. And this was posted. There's a lot to examine from these words, and I will quickly disqualify. I've learned not to call anything quickly, anything that I don't understand or I'm not sure about. I don't put the label conspiracy theory behind it quickly. I've realized sometime when we do that, we might miss something. There might be some truth in it, but to disqualify the entire thing, it turned out to be incorrect. So, and I've been so wrong on so many levels. So I cannot tell you to believe it. I'm not going to tell you to disqualify it. All I'm simply saying is consider it and pray about it, because it seems to me many times the things we once considered conspiratorial in nature, needed to be disqualified or ignored, they turned out to be true. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing. Like, it seems like the very thing we were told were not happening are happening, right? They say the lab leak. Oh, that's conspiracy theory. Well, that was true, right? Right. There's like bioweapon in Ukraine. Like, oh no, that's conspiracy theory. Well, turned out to be true, right? The Biden administration and their sons were involved in some of this stuff. There were money being funded through, all of Burisma and all that. Why would you say something like that? That's conspiracy theory. Well, turned out to be true. So carrying that out. So when you hear stuff like that consistently being promoted on the media, you kind of have to come to a point where you say, let's be careful not to quickly disqualify everything that we agree and disagree with as conspiratorial. And I think that term, even where it came from, is also very problematic. So